Well, hello there, people either on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram. Hi, and welcome. I'm Jane Hogan, the Wellness Engineer, and this is my monthly Q&A where I answer your questions. I help you understand about chronic pain and especially how chronic pain can be turned on by your brain. So actually it can be turned on and kept on. So if you have a question, please put it in the comments so that I can see it. Hopefully I'll be able to see the comments. Just let me know if you're here live. Just say hi in the comments. It always helps me to know if people are on live. And let me see if I go into Instagram. I have to hit go live on Instagram as well. Okay, so I'm trying to go live on Instagram. Won't let me do it. Okay, so the people who are here, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, say hello. And meanwhile, I'll just try one more time on the Instagram to do the go live thing. Doesn't seem to be working. So I guess perhaps I'm just here on Facebook and YouTube. So let me know, how are you joining me? Leave a comment. Let me know, are you joining me from Facebook? Are you joining me from YouTube? And also, do you have a question? So I want to share with you, I had some excitement yesterday because my book, it's called Pain Free on Purpose, Use Your Mind to Heal Your Body and Get Your Life Back. This came out as an ebook download yesterday, so it's available for instant download now. And I was so excited when I checked to make sure all the links and things are working. It said it was the #1 new release in chronic pain, which was so exciting for me. Now, if you want to, the book is available from Amazon, the ebook. If you want to take advantage of the extra bonuses that I've got, so I've got some extra gifts for people that buy it live. I'm just going to type this in the chat and hopefully I won't make any typos. It's thewellnessengineer.com/ebook. Okay, if you go to that page, thewellnessengineer.com/ebook, there's instructions there on how to download, like how to buy the book, and then you come back to that page and you put in your receipt, your name, email, receipt number, and where you bought it, and that will then send you automatically to, you'll get an email with the free downloads. So the extra gifts that I've got for you are it's a 15-page heartwork companion guidebook to go with the book. And it's also a video of me demonstrating a really powerful pain reduction technique called EFT tapping that's specifically designed to lower chronic pain. So those two things are for you if you get the ebook in the next 2 weeks. That is the gifts that I'm going to send to you. And I'm super excited about that. All right. Do you have any questions? I see a little thumbs up there. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me? If not, I'm going to go ahead and answer some other questions that were already submitted ahead of time. So you may have seen my latest podcast episode came out today, which is a solo episode with just me. And it was called, let me see if I get this right. How to know, actually it's on my Instagram page right there. It's called How to Know If Your Brain is Turning on Pain, something like that. Yeah, how to know if your brain is turning on pain. Because a lot of people come to me and they think the reason for their pain, that there's a physical reason for their pain, which is understandable because our paradigm that we learned is that if we are experiencing pain in our arm or our wrist or our neck or our shoulder or our back, there's something physically going on there in our wrist, our shoulder, our back, wherever, right? Of course, we think that because that's what we've been taught. But what we know now from the neuroscience and from a lot of different studies is that pain, we can have what feels like physical pain, and it is absolutely real pain. If you experience pain, then it's real pain. So, however, what we're learning from the neuroscience is that there is often, and in a lot of cases, up to 85% of the cases, there isn't a physical reason for the pain. Even if you've been given an MRI or an X-ray where the doctor said, oh, you've got a bulge disc in your back, or we see something there on your neck, or you have arthritis, or you have a meniscus tear, or you have a rotator cuff injury, whatever it is, if you've been told that you have those things, chances are that's really not the source of your pain. I know it sounds a little wild, and this is the kind of myth I have to bust. It's the myth I have to bust that most pain is actually not physical. So how do we know this? They've done tons of studies, loads of studies of people with no pain. And what they find is that a large percentage of them, like a high percentage of them in many cases, have these different abnormalities. They will have arthritis. They will have bulge discs, for example, or meniscus tears, or other cartilage tears, but they have no pain. So having one of these things show up on an MRI or an X-ray does not necessarily mean that is the source of your pain. However, if you're experiencing pain and then you've been told, oh, this is the source of your pain, your brain is going to wire that in and say, oh, there's a physical reason for the pain. We'll just keep it going. Now, what we are learning is that when we can train our brain to feel relaxed, so we shift out of the fight or flight mode, then the brain can let go of pain. Because ultimately, what is pain? Pain is protection. So our brain, for some reason, perhaps we've had a lot of stress in our life, or perhaps we've had stress since we were a child, underlying stress that's sort of been simmering in the background. We can have these things, and over time, our brain senses that things aren't safe, sends a message to our nervous system, things aren't that safe here. Our nervous system begins to turn on protection. It also does not prioritize digestion. So you may end up with digestive issues. It doesn't prioritize the immune system. So you may end up with immune issues. I had autoimmune disease, but it could also show up as like skin rashes and different things like that. It also doesn't prioritize the hormonal or the endocrine system. And that means that you may be having hormonal issues. So these are often normalized, especially for us women, right? All these hormonal issues are normalized. Oh, it's a normal part of aging. It's a normal part of the time of the month. But what we know is that all of those symptoms, hormonal symptoms, are exacerbated by a nervous system that doesn't feel safe. And so what happens? Things begin to break down. We can have pain. We could have digestive issues. We could have skin issues. We could have brain fog. We could have insomnia. We could have anxiety, all kinds of problems like this. Of course, the people that mostly come to me have pain. And it's a very downstream effect. And then what happens when you start having health issues, perhaps digestive or pain, or you've got, psoriasis or some other skin issue, or you've got brain fog and you're worried that you're losing your memory and is it early Alzheimer's? Then you get more fear. Of course, right? It's natural. And I was there too when I was in so much pain and barely able to walk, couldn't make a fist with my hands. I could hardly look after myself. Of course, I had fear. I was very afraid of my future. But here's the thing. That fear, guess what it does? Creates more pain. It creates more pain because guess what? Our nervous system, does it feel safe if we're having fear thoughts about our future? Absolutely not. So it thinks that we're in mortal danger and it starts to turn on more protection. What's the form of protection that it'll go to? The pathways that have already been created. So if you already have pain, it'll dial up the pain. If it's some other pathway, it'll probably dial up that pathway. Just let me know if this is making sense to you. Put yes in the comments if it's making sense, or S for yes, for sense, if it's making sense to you. So what I've learned after like almost 10 years of research now and interviewing hundreds of people and just my own experience and working with people is that the missing link, the missing puzzle piece is people not addressing the nervous system. And the only person that can address the nervous system and get your nervous system calmed down on a continuing basis is you. No one else can do it. Hey, Rose. Rose says Y for yes. Thanks, Rose. So the only person that can do it is you. Of course, you can go and get a massage and you can feel nice and relaxed while you're doing the massage, and that can help. And you may notice even that for you, the pain may go down when you're having a massage, or maybe you go to an energy worker, or maybe I started with food, and food can certainly help. So, you do some things that maybe stop your immune system from like reacting to food so much. It's only reactive because of the stress that you've been under. So then you start reacting to all the foods that you're eating, or you can anyway. So these things can help. Okay, I'll just cut out some of those foods and they can help. But over the long term, if we want to really completely reverse pain, and it is possible, then we have to address the nervous system. We have to get ourselves into that calm state as much as possible. And really, that's what I'm teaching in my book. It's my 6-step. The part 2 of the book is all about my 6-step design blueprint. I'm an engineer, so I love to use those engineering type of terms. And so the 6 steps are desire, explore, surrender, integrate, generate, navigate. And on each of those steps, there are 2 habits. 2 habits, you could call them rituals, whatever you want to call them. It's 2 ways to create calm so that your nervous system can get the message that things are safe. And that doing that and repeating it is how our brain learns safety again. So our brains learn by repetition. That's how our brains work, right? Everything we've ever learned, we learned by repetition. Very seldom does someone hear something or do something once and then know it. We have to practice, right? We learn how to ride a bicycle. We learn how to drive a car. We learn our multiplication tables. All of these things we learn by repetition. And learning how to be calm again is no different. It's also a practice in learning how to create calm and teaching our brain through repetition, things are safe. Now, they're habits. I mentioned that they are habits. So we already have habits that got us into the state that we're in. And this isn't to blame or anything like that. It's just actually, I say, evidence of how powerful you are. You are so powerful that you taught, and your brain is so powerful and good at learning that it learned habits of not being safe. And then it responded exactly the way it should. It started to protect you. So what we want to do is not do those habits. Like if you want a different result, then you have to change, right? You can't keep repeating the same patterns and expect a different result. You have to change the patterns. And so what I say is, rather than focusing on breaking the old habits, let's just replace with new habits that create calm. So the very first habit that's on my blueprint in step 1 is it's called Create Calm. I mean, the whole thing is really about creating calm, but it's creating moments of calm throughout your day. Now, when I was at my worst, and I didn't really have this plan fully fleshed out then, I was just trying to do whatever I could do. But what I did notice is that when I was calm, so I was either, you know, like doing a meditation or focusing on the breath or just trying to be really still and not worry, not ruminate over the past, not worry about the future. I noticed that that the pain would like really subside and sometimes even stop. And what I thought about was that, wow, if I could just create moments like this throughout the day, each one was like a pearl. So I kind of imagine it like a pearl necklace. And I imagine that each of these moments was like a pearl. And if I could like, create a whole lot of these pearls throughout the day, then eventually I would have a completely full day pearl necklace of moments without pain and eventually have days without pain. And that's exactly what happened. So I had to intentionally create those. And actually, that's why I call my book Pain Free on Purpose. Like it's on purpose, right? We have to have intention behind it. We can't just let it happen to us and expect that it's just going to happen. So we have to be intentional about it and really make time for these habits, these rituals that create calm. Now, I do suggest, and there's a whole lot of science behind habit formation as well. So we want to bring the habits in. We want to be successful. Everything that I teach in creating calm is probably not anything new. It's all like available on the internet. And we have access to all the information now. In fact, it can be a little overwhelming. Let me know if you feel overwhelmed sometimes by the amount of information out there. So it's not lack of access to information. What stops people from doing the things that are going to help them is successfully integrating new habits. And so I like to apply habit formation science. There is a science behind these and what works. And I talk about this in the book as well in chapter 3. And so I talk about how we want to make sure habits are successful by making them obvious, making them attractive, making it easy, and making them satisfying. And so I have strategies throughout the book on how to do that, how to make those habits, have those successes. And actually, there's a great book on habit formation too, written by James Clear called Atomic Habits. It's a fabulous book. And he talks about habit formation there and how to make them successful. So I draw on his learning and then apply it to these habits that will create calm in the nervous system so that your body can release pain. And so all we've got to do is do this. Now, a lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions about habits and how long it takes to form a new habit. And there's been tons of science about that. People used to think that it was like 3 weeks, you got the habit. There's a very big variation with people. There's a variation depending on the type of habit. And it can take anywhere from, I think the numbers are like 18 to like 200 and something days to form a habit. So I suggest that you go at your own pace as you implement the habits that are in part 2 of the book. That you go, you are you, and you go at what works for you. And I always say, I have a sip of water. It's better to take baby steps than to try to take these giant leaps and then that just don't work for you. So it's better to take baby steps and just keep taking the baby steps each day. And as you bring in the new habits. Now, I kind of have a bit of a guideline. I say, do it for at least 28 days or until. So how do you know that you got a new habit? I love this. And I would say it also isn't totally true. But generally, when it becomes easier to do it than to not do it, you know that you've integrated it into your life, or that you prefer to do it than not do it. So I would say when you get to that step, then bring in a new habit. Don't try to bring in all the habits at once. It won't be successful. We know that doesn't work. One at a time until it becomes easier to do it than not do it, or you prefer to do it than not do it. And it's integrated as part of your daily life, because this needs to be daily. Of course, we aren't perfect. Of course, things come up. Maybe you've got a travel day. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you've got people visiting and it's hard to bring in the habits in, but you just do what you can and be kind to yourself and not be hard on yourself. And so what you do most of the time matters a lot more than what you do once in a while. Okay, so I also wanted to address a common question that comes up a lot, and that is, how do I know if the pain that I'm experiencing is this type of pain that's being modulated by the brain as opposed to having a physical reason? Well, first of all, I will say, so I talked earlier about some of the myths about what we think is the cause of physical pain. I would say, let's look, it's probably related to stress. And they say that about 85% of chronic pain cases are actually there's not a physical, there may have been an initial physical reason sometimes, but if they persist beyond like 3 or 4 months, and it becomes chronic long past the time when it should have healed, then the pain is probably this type of pain. There's different words for it. Some people call it neuroplastic pain. Neuroplastic meaning the brain, right? The brain is neuroplastic. It's learned it. Sometimes it's called centrally sensitized pain, which means it's the central nervous system that's keeping that pain on. Years ago, John Sarno called it TMS, which I forget what it stands for, transmyocytosis, I think. Anyway, whatever it is, it's the brain that's turning it on. So how do we know? I'm just going off the top of my head on some of these questions. So the question, and I had a really great tool. Let me see if I can find it and put it in the chat really quickly. Must put my glasses on. Okay, let me see. If you've been to my webinars, you may have seen it. Okay, I think I got the link. Let me see. Okay, could your brain be coming from your pain, not your body? Here we go. So I'm going to grab the link. It's not a pretty link. I'm not even going to try to say it, but I'm just going to put it in the comments, okay? So if you're watching, you should see it. So you can just download this. You don't have to go on my email list if you don't want to. Okay, there you go. So it's 10 questions. And actually, I'm going to open it up right now so we can go through them. So these questions, just take a notice of how many questions you answer yes to. Has your pain lasted more than 3 months, either all the time or on and off? On and off is a really good sign that the pain is probably neuroplastic pain. Did your pain start without an injury, or has it stayed after an injury healed? Did your pain start during a stressful time in your life? That's what happened to me. Does your pain move around or change in how strong it feels? That's what happened to me. I felt like I was a voodoo doll and someone was sticking pins in me. Does your pain get better when you're distracted or away on vacation? So if you are, for example, with friends, or you go away on vacation, or you're watching some television, or you're doing something you love, maybe doing some painting or something like that, do you notice that you don't notice the pain? There's a good chance then that it is neuroplastic pain, because you're feeling good. Your brain is like, oh, things are feeling good. I don't need to put on so much protection. Have doctors said surgery won't help, or that your pain is from wear and tear? So that's the common, like the arthritis one. Now, Just because a doctor says, oh, surgery will help does not mean that it's not neuroplastic pain, okay? Because a lot of doctors aren't learning about this, and it's not their fault. It's just not what they learned. So they learn, and it's also very, just our medical system, people are so specialized. No one's looking at the whole person. They're very like, you got an orthopedic surgeon that specializes in knee pain. And so, of course, they're going to recommend surgery. That's just what they do, right? That's what they were trained for. So it's not anything wrong. Nothing wrong with what they're saying. It's just not the whole picture, is what I would say. Did you go through tough or stressful experiences as a child? So we know that childhood trauma, even if it's mild trauma, that's all I had. I had an older sibling that teased me. It wasn't physical, there's nothing like that. But it was enough for me to set up in me feelings of not being wanted or welcome. And of course, as far as our brain is concerned, if we're not welcomed by the tribe, then that is not safe. Right. So I had this like simmering unsafetyness throughout my life. You know that you've got that if you've got people pleasing or perfectionism. Actually, that's the next question. Or hypervigilance or hyper independence, those types of things. So the next question is, are you a perfectionist, people pleaser, or often hard on yourself or others? If we're hard on other people, it means that's coming from ourselves, and we're also hard on ourselves. Oh, Rose says, love everything you're saying and the obvious lived experience that your information comes from. Thank you, Rose. Thank you. This is my mission to share all of this. Okay, next question. Have you had stomach issues, tension headaches, or skin rashes? Any of those can be a sign that your brain is turning on protection. And then, or it doesn't feel safe. And then, does anyone in your family also have ongoing chronic pain? So here's the thing. If in our environment, if we know there's someone else who's got chronic pain, chances are that our brain will see chronic pain as a way to also turn on protection. So that's how that works. So there's no what I've said there is, if you answered yes to 3 or more, be sure to attend my next webinar. Well, my next webinar isn't till it's next month, August 17th. But in the meantime, tune in to me. Tune in to my podcast. There's one that released today, which you can find anywhere where you see podcasts. Go to Wellness by Design podcast. Today's episode, I talk about this, how to know if your brain is turning on pain. Now, in the meantime, you could also get my book. It's right now available as an ebook. And also, I'd love if you left a review. These reviews really matter. So when you buy the book, if you go into your purchases, you can leave a review. And these reviews really help. If they help other people know that this may be helpful for them. It helps the book rank higher so that more people see it. And when you leave a review, and be honest, like I'm not asking to say leave any kind of review, whatever you think about the book. And this helps me on my mission. It helps me on my mission to do something about the 25% of the population that's suffering from chronic pain, that they can find out there's something that they can do. 65% of people over the age of 65 are suffering with chronic pain. Of course, we've had a lifetime of stress to build up. It doesn't have to be that way. We together, me and you, we can do something about this. We can help tell other people about it and then have the experience of reducing pain. I give lots of examples and little sessions on breath work and visualization on how to do this. So keep tuning in, and I look forward to supporting you. And I want to say thanks so much for being here today. And thank you so much. I hope that this has been informative. If you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up or leave a comment. Let me know, and make sure you download the questions. That can be really helpful. Maybe share it with some other people as well. I'm in the inner circle for your book, and I loved hearing you reading it. Oh, thank you, Rose. I love reading it. I got a little emotional actually at times especially when I was um, reading about how my childhood experiences influenced my health when I turned 50. Um, those things I'm still working on. I have done a lot of forgiveness, a lot of forgiveness practices, but we are all a work in progress. I am not done. I'm still always working on myself. Um, and that's what I want to share with you as well, that, all of this actually is happening for us. I believe it's happening for us to help us be a bigger version of ourselves. So the version that I was that created the pain was a limited version. I didn't love myself that much. I was critical of myself. I was hard on myself. And of course, how I would never have done what I'm doing now and speaking out like I'm speaking now if I hadn't done this work. And it's not that you have to do these things, but pain is limiting your life. If you've got pain, it is limiting your life. And in so many ways, maybe you're missing out on spending time with family and friends, or being intimate and spontaneous with your spouse, or maybe you're not traveling or hiking or doing anything that you want to do, just like having a decent night's sleep. Whatever it is, pain is limiting you, and that's not who you came here to be. I believe that we all started here as loving human beings. We came here to have a spiritual experience in this human body. We're expressing through this nervous system, and we can't fully express if our nervous system doesn't feel safe. All right, my loves. Oh, it's fantastic. I want those readings to be the audiobook. I will do the audiobook. My plan is to do the audiobook this fall. So I need to get that working. There's a lot to do when you have a book, I've learned. All right, my friends, thanks so much for joining me. I will be live again the second Wednesday of August, which is I may do it I'm not going to say the date because I'm traveling a bit in August, so I may have to shift it around. But I will let you know if you're on my email list. If you're not, just go to thewellnessengineer.com/subscribe, and you will get on my email list, and you'll know when I've got these things coming up. All right, my loves, have a great day. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining me.